I just did roll call and regrets a little in advance, so I'd like us all to pause and seek guidance, please. Okay. Next, I would like to have approval of the agenda. Is there any additions or deletions?
I motion to approve the agenda.
Is there a seconder?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. The next on the agenda is the delegation or presentation from St. Mary's Bay Protectors. We have not heard from them, so I assume they're on their way. We will continue with the agenda if everyone's comfortable with that. And when they arrive, we will hear them. Okay?
Yes.
So the next is the approval of the minutes of January the 11th. Is there any errors or omissions?
I motion to approve the minutes of January 11th, 2021.
Is there a seconder?
Second.
Any discussion? I guess no to look that way.
Yeah,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. Is there any unfinished business from those minutes that anyone would like to bring forth? None? Hearing none, we will go on. The next is is the CAO report. Now, in the CAO report, you will see the business ahead, but what I am going to ask is March 22nd be changed from a council meeting and have March 29th as a council meeting. Because I am in Shelburne and there's no way I can be back here for a meeting.
Yeah, I have no problem with that.
No, I don't have a problem with
Do we need to make a motion?
Yeah, let's throw a motion on that one.
So would someone make the motion that we have our council meeting on March 29th instead of the 22nd?
that. Yeah, I motion we make our council meeting on March 29th.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Contrary minded, motion carried. Now
I just did want to point out, so we have added a second bylaw and policy in March. You've got the schedule here.
Yeah.
You're going to see the schedule later as well. We talked about that a couple of years ago when we started eliminating the double bylaws, that occasionally when we get into budget time, we steal that Monday off back. At least I think there's 5 Mondays in March. That's why we were able to do this and still have a Monday off now on the 22nd.
So I was just going to go over that, so thank you.
That's all right.
That's all right. Please remember on March 15th, we have no meeting. February 15th, we have no meeting. And on April the 5th, we have no meeting because it's Easter Monday. And April the 6th, which is a Tuesday, we will be having a bylaw and policy because we are doing budgets. And we need all the time we can get. The updates are here. They're highlighted in yellow. The wording has been for Digby marketing and promotion levy. There will be a spring setting the legislature, and the bill is ready. So let's just hope that they will deal with it.
There's a lot of variable. Obviously, we don't have the premier yet, but a new Liberal leader. The spring session, we don't know. I'd like to say we're optimistic. We are at the bottom of a pile, right? This is a private member's bill. All we can do is hope, and we'll go from there. But there's a long ways to go on that one yet.
Is the data aware of this?
Yes, yeah, that is, so this was supposed to go, so this is with the province, this just gives the 2 municipalities the right to make the bylaw, right? So nothing changes right now. This is just a step that so much work had gone in pre-pandemic with consulting with data, the users, the current elected officials at the time, the MLA, that this is just trying to close that loop on, so the province has to pass private members legislation for every area that puts one in. So this will then enable municipalities to revisit when and what that would look like.
Okay. And then the RCMP review, we will be engaging with the Department of Justice on trying to establish cost savings, and our CAO is in the middle of process of dealing with that. Sometimes it's better to let things be worked out by staff. Then asset management, the workshop series has wrapped up, and they're working on a presentation for council in the future. The mandatory regional planning coastal protection, Municipal Affairs has announced its Municipal Innovation Funding Program with a deadline of February the 5th, which was 3 days ago. The Southwest Region CAOs are working to resubmit our regional planning project. We have been given positive comments from the department about our project. The Accessibility Act, the town has accepted our plan to move forward, and the manager of municipal services has sent letters to DARC and the 4 villages with the make-up and startup plans for the accessibility committee. The 2 councillors who are on that is Councillor Manzer and Councillor Tudor. Okay. Okay. Rural Internet, Develop Nova Scotia in partnership with Bell and Mainland has announced projects for approximately 1,100 civic numbers in our municipality. We are working with Bell, Mainland, and Wren to better understand the area covered by these projects. And I can tell you, I just can't wait to see some.
Have you got any more information about that, Jeff?
I think some of the areas you're asking to clarify, Evan's getting back to me on, but yeah, there's a lot of, I think there will continue to be challenges. So what we're starting to hear, and Evan is hearing it, so Eastlink is what's in communities, well sorry, there can be nothing in communities right now, and lots of our area has Eastlink, in the old days what we would call Eastlink cable, which became the backbone for Eastlink's high speed. So the speeds where that is good are comparable to fiber or what's called high speed. What we are starting to hear from residents is there's just some confusion, so we're trying to figure out where we fit with the messaging and where the Wren fits. People want the fiber. Even places where Eastlink high speed is, they're still talking about, are we on the list for fiber? Like a lot of the Smiths Cove area, with the mapping that we have looked at and assessed, there's a lot of Eastlink through the Smiths Cove area. I think one of the challenges, even when Bell comes through with the fiber, if you live, it's similar to some of the homes that we're having challenges with in Barton, Matt, if you live a certain distance from the main road, these are not straightforward connection requests. So sometimes when we hear from a resident, I can't be serviced, it's not because Eastlink isn't there, it's because they live 500 meters down a private driveway towards the water or up a hill. So we're trying to figure out and get clarified. Most of the mapping we have is proprietary, and non-disclosure statements had to be signed. That's why I'm not showing you a bunch of maps in your packages.
Yeah, we also have residents that are from me to you from the room and can't get hooked up.
Right, but I don't think that's what I said. Right?
Oh, well, okay, yeah.
We're just, in the Smiths Cove area, this is where the confusion is coming. So Eastlink services the majority of the Smiths Cove, right? There's the pockets that the current projects are going to serve are the areas up around Wilson's Lane and Back Road in Lansdowne. And that hasn't changed from the beginning. What may be adding to the confusion is, I think the fiber is already run through most of Back Road. We are trying to get clarification on, is it connectable, or is it that, I guess what we call first stage fiber, and the second stage of the projects that they just announced are going to be when people can connect to it.
Okay. I'm getting a lot of calls, so.
Yes.
I think we all are. Like for example, I had, this morning I was on a Zoom call. So I had my computer, my personal computer here open, so I could look up as I'm here on the Zoom, right? Couldn't make this work. Like 5-10 minutes, and then it would suddenly change to what I needed it to, but it wasn't helping me on the Zoom call, because when they were saying, what did you want? And I'm saying, it hasn't flipped, I can't tell you. You know, I can give you this idea of what I remember. So that's how bad our service out home is. And even sometimes with just the one. Like, there's times I just drive in here, go sit in my office and do the work because I can't. It's so slow, I might as well, I want to beat my head against the wall.
Yeah, someone said, I don't know what, it's not Netflix, but it's something similar. What's the word? That's how they get their internet, but they did say it was through Eastland, but it's,
Citywide.
Net Fox or something like that. So,
I don't know.
and they live just off of the main road, and they said that they are serviced through Eastland, but
It's not Prime Video.
I can't think now. And I heard people talking about it after. It's something like Netflix.
Probably Explore now.
Oh. Yeah. But I just pray I have internet, let alone anything else. And I've now learned where my charger is, my phone will ring, and as long as I don't touch the phone and I hit speaker, I might get to talk to you.
Yeah.
Then if it goes away, it's because it just didn't stay with it. All right. Also, under our Compass, they working with Compass to coordinate a contractor visit to the site to work on construction estimates. Under COVID-19, we're working with staff to implement the required changes announced by the Minister's Affairs, restricting all meetings to 10. Now we've just had another change, so that will be dealt with now. The lobster dispute, meetings and emails on the issue continue, and we're working on a regular basis for updates with the Minister of the Fisheries Office. Also, the mayors, wardens, and COOs have had a second meeting with Alistair Surratt set up later in February. Any questions so far? All right, then we had monthly reports. Does anyone have any questions from for the manager of municipal services? None? Okay.
Nope.
Corporate services report.
Nope.
Airport dispatch.
Nope.
Dog control. No questions? All right.
Nope.
I'm giving you time. Coordinator program development. Okay. Renewable, no, it's not there, I want to speak about it. Renewable energy and climate change coordinator.
I have a question about the Scotia Garden thing with the digester.
Yeah.
What was it? Taking it to the airport to spread, or what's happening there?
So they're still they're working on a lot of concepts, I guess is what I would say. So one of the issues you may remember, it may not going way back, that the tank to get the liquid that's left over at the end of the process, the tank that was built on site was always too small.
Mm-hmm.
So that fills up relatively quickly. The previous owners they were all big landowners. I think some of it was even applied out on the ridge in front of the field by the campground potentially, right? They all had farmland.
Yeah.
So that application was, I don't want to say took care of itself. You had to get permits for it, but it was easy to solve.
Yeah.
The current group does not own farmland, so they are exploring a lot of options between us and the municipality of Clare on where they can do it. We are quite far away, and we are not initially thrilled with it. This product is a bit nutrient rich. It's going to actually promote growth where perhaps we're not trying to encourage growth around the asphalt of the airport, around the exterior of the airport. But so yeah, they're just trying to. I guess we're positive in that they are exploring all of these things before they actually start doing them. They're coming up with a thorough plan. They just spend a fair bit of time exploring all of the options on applications. So that's what they're exploring.
Okay. No, that's good. We're still doing the thing, so that's good.
All right, anybody on the trail coordinator? Economic?
I did just want to mention, I think Councillor Thurber's aware of it. The trail coordinator's working on it. I think there might have been a reference to it in his report as well, that one of the trail that he has been working on for years and years at this point in Bear River, TIR plays a role in that file, and there's a piece of unknown, kind of unclaimed land. 2 years worth of progress had been made. I think there's some challenges developing with that may result in a request from a letter from council in the near future. I think you've heard perhaps in the past, unknown land in the land registry creates a lot of problems. We were optimistic at one point that TIR would claim it and just consent with the community use. I don't know with the latest communication that TIR is on the same page as us anymore. So I won't be surprised to see a request for a letter in the near future.
Okay. Economic development, Dan Harvey?
We have no report. Are you just testing me?
Yes, I was. Saying what everyone says, I'm going down those papers. Okay. Dangerous and unsightly premises, there was nothing listed. Business items. Start with 4.1, Cook Agriculture Letter of Support.
I'd like to make a motion to send a letter of support to Cook's Agriculture,
No, it would be to the government.
or to the government, sorry. And Pat, can I please have my name on that on the minutes?
Pardon?
Can I have my name on the minutes, please?
Is there a seconder?
I'll second that.
Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. The next is the budget audit schedule, and you saw that in your you saw in your package up there. Thank you. I had it, lost it. So our next one is actually February. What is today? The 8th, right? March 1st. And you see what we are going to be discussing. So, just so you know that. And March 15th, again, we will be looking at Foster for Cats and Friends of Errol, Scarlet Days, a request, budget items for renewable energy and climate change, Heritage and Special Project, and Digby Area Tourism Association. And then we go April the 6th, 2 grants organizations, the DARK budget, King's Transit budget, Waste Check budget. And I have a meeting Thursday, and they want it in person, so we're meeting in their municipal chambers of the Kings County. So I think a lot of stuff is going to be discussed. So I'm hopefully can give you some more updates on that budget. That's scary. April the 19th is the audit committee, and with the audit committee, Have we been advertising for a member?
Well,
Okay, sorry.
We definitely have been.
Okay. Just so we know that. Draft of the operating budget will be on May 3rd. Remember, we've been working right along on it. Then the capital budget from 1 to 5 year term. And on June 21st, we'll be doing the capital budget draft 2. Hopefully it will be the final in the operating budget draft 2 final. On the 28th, council will hopefully be able to approve the operating budget and the capital budget and the tax rate resolution. July 19th, 2021, the draft audited financial statements, review the management letter, council and CAO expenses review. So, any concerns over any of those meetings?
Linda, I will say something that I realized tonight. In April, we're changing the meeting nights. So this schedule is all
going to
prepared
be-
for Mondays.
Yeah, okay.
So we'll just have to shift those one. There's a couple highlighted on Tuesday anyways, but the
And
rest of them will be shifted, I guess, by one day.
We have to do that though at council. For us to make that decision. But thank you.
I just
because
wanted you to know,
what?
I'll put them in your calendars and realize that you have to change them, so.
Mhm.
The only other thing I'd say about the schedule at this point, so obviously this is nearly a 6-month schedule. Now there are key points on that are major anchor points. We may bold them or do something different for the next version you see. There are other points on that we don't control, right? Like King's Transit budget, not trying to bring up poor memories here for Linda, but there are years where that one does not come in when we want it, right? So this is our game plan today on how we plan on tackling this. So, and a lot of it, we started this procedure last year, and we were very accurate going through it. Major changes, we'll keep you in the loop. A lot of it, if it's minor, we'll trade something. If we're short something for one meeting, we know we are trying to take best advantage of 2 hours plus of your time on those nights. You can see those first couple through March are some of the March through to April are the big ones, right? That March 1st, the 15th, and then April 6th. I know it only looks like one small item, the grants to organizations. That's a big night, right? Those 3 drive a lot of our process, right? The other influences on the budget. So.
Yeah, this ridership's been pretty good on the King's Transit
Oh,
for a
yes.
long time.
It has been.
Yeah.
We are doing above what they thought we would be doing.
Yeah, I can tell.
So, knock on wood.
Yep.
I hope it continues.
Yeah, me too. It's been good. Notice it in the morning, there's 4 or 5 people on it.
And I plan on at that upcoming meeting to discuss about mask as well.
Mm-hmm.
All right, assessment report.
Excited about this one?
Should we tell you that we don't want to hear it?
Don't want to hear it? Well, it's everything's going up, so that's positive.
Okay,
Um,
we can hear it.
Increase in residential assessments is at 2.44. You can see that bolded there in the top blocks.
Mhm.
On par with typical year. Last year was around 2.93. Average residential tax burden there, that's in the second blocks down. That's actually gone up by $20 per household this year. Just with the fluctuation in the number of households and that 2%, that's how much it's actually equating to. Resource up 2.77, so pretty close to what your residential is. I will note, so this year's assessments predate the start of the COVID pandemic in Nova Scotia. All 2020 market...
Excuse me.
Yep. Should have a laser pointer.
Oh.
I apologize, you should have had that.
No worries.
Sorry, we were going to steal one back after the presentation.
even-
And
Well, I was just thinking, I want
Yep.
the people to hear her, this is
Yep.
very important.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
No,
Start
no
from
worries.
the beginning.
Start right at the beginning. Pat doesn't want me to talk long, so. So this year's assessments predate the start of the COVID pandemic in Nova Scotia. So 2020 market activity and financial data, including any COVID-related impacts, will be reflected in 2022. However, the physical state of the properties are captured as of December 2020. So in saying that, our commercial this year, with the Scotia Harvest behind here with the new development, because we were able to capture the physical state of it, that assessment has gone up significantly, which has brought our commercial assessment into a positive change this year. It would have actually been negative without that one. So we were kind of lucky to get that growth there. 2.87 is what we're going up. For commercial this year, it would have been negative 1.46 without that new development. So it's important to note. You'll notice with the commercial there's a loss in appeal for assessments. We've been typically putting 600,000 in there. I changed it to 400,000 this year just because we haven't had that many appeals, and it would just make our budget number look a little bit closer to what we're actually going to get. Did a little research on that, and it doesn't seem to be hitting the $600,000 mark, so it'll just make the numbers look a little better, and of course make it a little easier to balance. Our seasonal tourist reduction is changed slightly. It's only because of one. We don't have a lot of businesses that apply, but we do have one extra business this year that's applied for seasonal, so that deduction has gone up a little bit. And so other than that, I'll just note, if you scroll down, Tyler, there a little bit at the bottom, our additional revenue this year with those increases only equates to $184,000 in actual revenue that we can add into our budget. So I just wanted to note that some of these numbers look fairly large, and it's hard to sometimes put it all into perspective, but that's the additional amount that we will be looking at in our revenue budget this year with the assessments.
So yeah, so on $9 million approximate budget, the 184 is better than negative, which we were
Giving a pay King's Transit, thank you.
we weren't quite sure where this one was going to go. The little bump with commercial is certainly going to help, but
Somebody's gonna chew that up.
it's not a very big increase on assessment, that's for sure.
No.
Any questions on that report at all?
You actually explained, I did have some questions, you explained it out.
Okay.
I was gonna ask you, and I guess I wasn't thinking, I was thinking if our Nova Scotia index is only 0.3, how come we were showing so much better? But then I was thinking, I'm doing apples and oranges.
Yeah, it's hard to compare it that way.
Yeah, so that's, so when I read it, that was still in my head until you sat there, because that was going to be my question. So I don't mind people knowing that sometimes I'm off.
So the only other thing I'd add, so what Coralie was saying about capturing the physical state of a property, so at the point of the building inspections where they're at now, so there will still likely be value claimed into next year as they finish up here, right? Like it's kind of at the halfway point or 3/4 point, they'll let you claim that much revenue. Like that's kind of how it works. So the commercial will likely continue. We have so little commercial. A project like this really influences those percentages, right? So next year that will likely increase, and then next year we'll start to see what the real estate market of the last 6 months or year is going to influence. It will be very interesting to see what that looks like next year at this time.
Okay. The next is the Tobiatic Wilderness Committee funding request. And they have asked for us to support of $100 to digitalize 4 VHS cassettes and 3 regular cassettes. I would hope that you would look forward to this favorably. And what is your pleasure?
Just $100 for, motion to approve $100 to the Tobiatic Wilderness Committee.
Is there a seconder?
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. This is so it preserves.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess, to be fair, Rob was working with this group.
Yeah.
Generally, if a request is this small, we likely would have handled it otherwise. We did not understand quite how small the request would be when they voiced that they wanted to write a letter to council for financial support, so that's why, kind of how it unfolded this way.
Okay. The next is our correspondence, and we have we have a letter from our minister, Chuck Porter, of Municipal Affairs and Accessibility. Though I really think it's more accessibility and municipal affairs on the low end. Do you have any questions? Do you want to comment on anything, Jeff?
So I guess it connects a little bit to my report. So I think over 18 months ago, the regional from the town of Digby and us down to the Shelburnes, that's our AMA Southwest region, started to look at a project doing some combined planning or sharing planners, as in like PAC committee. So there had been 2 different versions of an application or proposal sent in to the province. So this is in response to the second time that they're, in a friendly way, denying it, that's what resulted in the application that we just submitted last Friday for an enhanced version of the same concept of trying to work. Lots of us have contractual planners. A lot of that group actually uses our planner, and it's no one of us can justify a full-time planner. Town of Yarmouth has a full-time planner, and they are the only one. But there's enough work, and with some of the changes you guys are seeing at PAC and what's going to be needed going forward, that regionally sharing one or potentially 2. The other challenges with planners, we can't train one on their own. Like with a building inspector, we can send you to the courses and you can gradually become one, or fire inspector. Planner, you need to apprentice under a planner. So unless you have one, you can't make one. So it's tough. There aren't a lot around. Like I say, a number of us share. So I think the innovation program focuses on municipalities working together to tackle a current challenge. So there's been a lot of positive feedback on this new application. But this is kind of a friendly rejection to one of the past efforts, I believe, that went in over the summer, early fall.
Okay. And the next one we have is from Nova Scotia Power. And is there any questions on that one? I thought it was actually a good letter.
Yeah.
So. As there's no questions, we will be going in camera, but before we go into in camera, does our audience have any questions for what has been discussed tonight?
One,
Yes.
internet.
Yes.
Is there any preference to families with children attending school to get the internet? That is a problem. The school system is trying to be ready for online, so a lot of courses now, the kids have to access the internet. And I had your problem until recently, and I changed to Eastlink because they have speeds. I've got 2 kids at home and they've got 2 computers going, 4 computers at a time. Bell Line can't keep up to 1.
So, were you on fiber op?
No, I've been on fiber op when I was in the big city, and if you ever get near fiber op, you will not deal with it.
Okay.
You cannot overload fiber op.
Yeah, Bell doesn't have fiber up where he lives.
They
These
don't
things
have
is faster.
much of it anywhere. So my question is, can we make a preference towards homes with children that
Well,
are currently attending school?
what we can do is send a letter off to the Ren with that concern.
If I could,
Well,
just,
certainly.
so we certainly can. With the challenge we're in now, we actually have more projects announced. We have just about the main internet-less areas in the district have been committed to have projects completed. We're working on the timelines on those. Certainly over the last 6 months since COVID struck and at-home learning started, that was really pushed onto developing with the internet service providers. This last round of announcements where you heard Linda reference, or the warden reference earlier, the 1,100 connections in this area. That's both islands and half a dozen communities scattered around Smiths Cove, Bear River, Dowsettville, Weymouth, that had the last remaining clusters that are eligible for funding from Develop to bring internet there that is not. So those projects should be catching everyone that's left and focusing on any of those homes where there are children.
There's so much work for them to do. I don't think sending a letter to Pope Bear would help, because right now they're, like you just said, there's 1,100 homes to do. They're doing everything they can to do that work as fast as they can. Not everybody's going to get it tomorrow morning, but it will come, and it's going to.
I understand that the not tomorrow morning part very well, but they don't have construction crews.
Yeah.
These are guys that, they're doing installations. When they got a few moments, they go run a cable. And that I can complain about.
Mm.
Because, you see, they're spending money and they're not getting much back. So they're dragging. So.
I guess at this point we don't really know what their
No.
schedule is,
Right.
to give you a good answer, really.
You'll never know it.
But I think that what you're saying is a good point to bring forward. I can't tell you what will happen, but at least it's on file.
Yes, and it shows that there are people who do care.
So can I have a motion that we send a letter to the Ren on the concern of children who are attending school needing internet? And could they look into that?
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. Next.
That's it.
Oh, I thought when you said one, you had 2 or 3 things.
No,
Okay, well, thank you so much for coming.
thank you for having me.
Appreciate it.
I like how your meetings accomplish things.
Well,
I'm sure there are many that don't.
Thanks, Dave.
and we will, like I said, we'll be going in camera, so our meeting will end shortly thereafter. Camera on a contractual issue, please.
All motion.
Is there a seconder?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. We will now be in camera.